All right, so bar graphs are great for showing this. Okay, so we're looking at 10.5, continuing on, which is all about graphs. So today we're going to focus on bar graphs, and bar graphs are great for showing categories. Okay, bar graphs are great for showing off different categories of things, right? So I just gave the class a survey and asked them which of the desserts are best between cake, pie, ice cream, and cookies. So then let's put that into a bar graph. Okay, let's put that in a bar graph. So when I do a bar graph, when I do any graph, it's best to have like a title. So this one is just going to be about desserts, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and draw a nice big graph here for everyone to see. Okay, so the options that I had, right, was cake, pie, ice cream, and cookies. And on the y-axis, I'm going to put the different numbers because I want the bars to go up to those numbers, right? That's what I'm looking at. Now, what's important when you make these bars is that you kind of know like what the numbers to use. For example, if I was talking about something that was all in like the hundreds, I'm not going to start at the number one and just count up by ones, right? That bar is going to be too ridiculous, right? So you need to kind of understand where the numbers are and how they're best going to be demonstrated. So based off of the numbers that I got from my graph, I know I'm gonna do intervals of 5. Okay, intervals of 5 because the highest number I had was 20, the lowest was 1. I don't want to count all the way from 1 to 20. That's too many. That's too much to count, right? Instead, I can do these intervals. I can do it by anything I want, right? So in this case, I'll just do real simple. I'll say 5, 10, 15, and 20. And then I can say, all right, and then I can say, okay, then let's put the data onto the chart. So for cake, we had 2 people that like cake the most. So I'm just gonna kind of guesstimate where that is. I'm gonna do a little bar. Only 1 person liked pie. Oh, sorry, 3 people. Sorry, I had 3 people who liked cake. Okay. For pie, I had 1 person, so I'm gonna draw a little one right here. For ice cream, I had 20 people. A lot of people like an ice cream. Okay, just kind of shade it in here so it's easier to see. Okay, you could always play around with like different colors and things like that. And cookies, I had 5 people. All right, so from this bar graph, I've got lots of information that I can pull out from it, right? Like, what are the things that I can say? Well, I could say easily that. So here are the facts. Here are some of the facts, right? Most ice cream was the most popular, right? Sorry. So the ice cream was the most popular. That's one fact that I could say. I can also give the hard numbers, which is 20 people like ice cream the most. I could say things like pie was the least favorite, right? I could say that cookies was second most favorite. Like, there's so much information that I can take away from this chart, right? It's just one chart, but I learned a lot about you guys as a class, in terms of what kind of food, what kind of dessert you like, right? Now, if I wanted to do a further one, like what kind of ice cream should I get? That's another survey where I could have different, flavors, right? Strawberry, vanilla, Rocky Road, all that sort of stuff. So it's good for us to kind of present this information and then be able to look at the information and be able to glean out what it is, right? Like, I should be able to look at that big bar for ice cream and be able to see from the left that that's 20 people, right? I should be able to look at cake and cookies and say, oh, okay, more people like cookies than cake, and right. That's what it's important for us to be able to look at something and understand what it means. And what this graph is telling us is saying, okay, well, most people like ice cream. Not that many people like pie. There were a total of, if it says how many total people were in the class, right, or took the survey, I could just add them all up, right? 3 plus 1 plus 20 plus 5. I could add that up and see how many people took the survey. Yeah, so a lot of different things that you could say, right, from just looking at this one simple graph. And that's all you have to do for your IXL is just kind of look at it. One of the IXLs is to look at it and interpret it, and the other one is to be able to look at a chart and create a bar graph. So pretty simple kind of things like that, right? So bar graphs are simple in this way, where you can say, all right, that's just looking at quantity like that way. Okay. There's another type of bar graph that I want to go over really quick. Okay. And that's called the double bar graph. All right, the double bar graph. And the double bar graph is great for showing groups within the categories, okay? Groups within categories. So I'm going to put up another little survey here, which is, what is the best type of movie? I've got comedy, action, horror, drama, romantic, animated. All right, let's take this survey and we'll see. And I'm going to kind of use the data a little bit. Out of these, the best kind, you might have one that's like whatever your favorite or next to favorite, but just do our best here. All right, let's start on the other side of the room. All right, I got to vote for action. Another vote for action. Another vote for action. Vote for horror. Another vote for action. Another vote for action. Another vote for horror. Action. All right, 6 for action, 2 for horror. Okay. So we'll give people a few more seconds to answer. Do your best here. What kind of movies do we like? What kind of movies do we like? All right. And then we're going to use this data a little bit. We're also going to kind of make up a little bit just for the demonstration's sake. All right. So here we go. All right. It looks like action was our most favorite. And nobody really likes the romantic stuff. All right. Fine. That's okay. We don't need that stuff yet. All that mushy business. Okay. So here we go. Let's create what we call a double bar graph. Okay. All right. So the best movie genre is our category, is our whole thing. All right. So we're going to draw a graph again here. And here are the different categories that I had. I had comedy. I had horror. I'm going to do them a little bit sideways so they didn't take up much space. I've got action. I've got dramatic, some drama, and animated. Sorry if that's a little bit hard to read. Now, and sorry, I gotta do the numbers on the side. I think my highest was 11. So let's do it by twos here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Now let's just pretend, okay, that I asked you, and then I also asked, but I asked between boys and girls, okay. So I want to know the difference, not just who was the favorite, but also which one between boys and girls. So I'm going to do a double. I'm going to do one color which is boys and one color which is girls, okay. So we'll just say the blue. If you don't have different colors, you could just use kind of different designs on your like one's shaded and one's not, or one has dots and one doesn't, something like that. Okay, so we'll say the blue represents the boys, and we'll say the red represents the girls. All right, so I'm going to make up the data a little bit. I'm going to use the data we have from the survey and then make up a little bit of it. Okay, so let's just say, for example, that comedy, there was only two, but let's say that of those two, only the boys were the ones who like the funny movies. Okay, I know girls like funny movies too, but all right. So for comedy, we have two boys, no girls. All right. For horror, let's see, we had a total of 5, 6, 7. So we'll just kind of even that out. We'll just say for horror that we'll say that 4 boys liked horror. And that means 3 girls also liked horror. Okay. All right, action, I had 11 people like the action movies. So we'll say that's like 5 boys, and again, I'm just kind of making up a little bit of the data. And we'll say that 6 girls. How about that? That'll give us to 11. Girls like a little bit more in the action category. Drama, there were only 2. We'll just say that there were 2 females who like that one. And animated, there was also 2, and we'll just say, how about 1 and 1? That'll be good. Okay. So this is a double bar graph. You can see why this is called a double bar graph, right? It's like a bar graph, but then there's like 2 categories. So this way it's good because I can compare boys and girls. And I can say, what are the facts that comes out of this, right? What are the things that come out of this data, right? Let's see what things we could say, right? So here are the facts from the data. I could say, all right, well, action was the most popular by both boys and girls, right? More people liked action than any other kind of movie, right? So I could say, action was most popular. I could say this. I could say more boys like horror movies than girls, right? The blue bar is higher than the red bar here, right? So I could say that more boys of the people who liked horror movies, there were more boys that like horror movies than girls, right? That's something I could say from this data, right? This is important because this is how we further compare the data, so that we can kind of like have a better understanding of things, right? So and you could say so many more things. Like, there are the same amount of boys and girls that like animated as their favorite. There are no girls that like comedy. There's no boys that like drama. The second favorite was horror. Like, there's so much information here that you can use, right? And again, we use this information to make decisions in our everyday lives, to find out what's popular, to find out what people like, and so that's kind of important. So this double bar graph, okay, again, categories, right? Comedy, horror, action, drama, animated. But the difference is you're looking between 2 groups, and you can do an infinite amount of those. You can have, I've seen a bar graph that's not a double, but like a triple or a quadruple. Like you have 4 categories of things. And so categories within or groups within the categories. So there's lots of different ways you can do it, but they're mostly the same bar graphs in that you're basically drawing these bars to see what has most, to see how many people have, how many people like, and that sort of stuff. Okay, so double bar graph and the bar graph. Okay, ones that are very useful for showing off a lot of information.